So 7.3 has been out for a few weeks, and it includes 3 new Ubers that need to be placed, as well as 1 old Uber. The 3 new Ubers are Chronos, Waverider Kuu, and Little Valkyrie. Catman also got his true form in this update, so his position in the tier list must also be reanalyzed. This will be in no particular order. We'll start with Waverider Kuu. She's strong against zombies and floating with pretty good stats and a good amount of knockbacks. She also has Zombie Killer, which is pretty rare among Ubers. I'm pretty sure only like 4 have Zombie Killer outside of the Iron Legion. But being anti-floating, however, is one of the least valuable abilities an Uber can have, unless somehow they can handle floating enemies better than Cameraman and Sanzo, and Waverider Kuu definitely cannot. She also has the same problems as all the Kuu variants, which are that she has below average Uber range at 400, which lets her be outranged by a few enemies and gives her less survivability than other conventional backline Ubers. She also has the main problem that all the Kuus share, which is the fact that they all have a staggeringly long time between attacks, and Waverider Kuu is no different. She has 11 seconds between attacks, though this is the quickest attack cycle out of all the Kuu variants so far. Such a poor attack cycle means that in spite of her good damage per hit, her DPS is only average, and she spends a lot of time just standing there during her time between attacks. All of these factors combined means that Waverider Kuu is placed in C tier. Next is Little Valkyrie, a very powerful Uber. She has really high DPS, like 9.4k I think. She's immune to every status effect, including Waves, Warp, and Curse, which Mitama is not, and she also has Barrier Breaker and Zombie Killer. She's also got an amazing cooldown for such a powerhouse as well, clocking in at just under a minute. Her range, even though it's poor, it's low enough to make her a strong rush unit, kind of like Tropical Kalisa or Ganglion, so she can get into enemy LDs in tandem with her fast speed. This alleviates the fact that low range is normally a downside. Ordinarily, a unit with such powerful stats and versatility has a strong argument for SS tier. However, she has a very big downside, which is that she only has 2 knockbacks, very high speed, and no backswing, so she kills herself all the time. Her weak 35k health also does not help this, and neither does her range. She has a low cooldown, and yet she still kills herself pretty much as fast as you can summon her. Overall, her downsides, coupled with her upsides, earn her a spot in S tier. We also got Chronos this update, the 7th Almighty. She has 450 standing range, LD which reaches from 300 to 700, which is pretty good for LD. Her stats are, they're okay. Her health is average and her damage is below average. The main selling point for this Uber is the fact that her multi-hits freeze all traded enemies for 1 second each, including medals. There is downtime between each multi-hit where enemies are not frozen, but the time that they are frozen gives time for a new wave of meat shields to reach the front lines, so the enemies don't really push throughout all of her attack cycle. She's also freeze immune, but I don't really see this being too useful outside of maybe like Henry stages. Her DPS is about 3.5k, which is below average, and the fact that this already mediocre damage is split into 3 attacks is very annoying. Her slow attack rate means that she can't permafreeze even with 2 of them stacked. You'd need like 3, but I'm pretty sure that 2 Chronos can probably stall any enemies indefinitely as long as their attacks aren't synced. Our verdict is that Chronos belongs in B tier. Catman got his true form this update, granting him massive damage to relics and aliens as well as curse immunity. No stat changes at all, just like most of the Dark Heroes. He's outranged by 2 relic enemies, Super Town Mare and Loki. Since Super Town Mare is pretty much the only relevant relic enemy, his position in the tier list will not change at this time. However, it is certainly possible that Catman could move up in the future. That's going to be it for this tier list update. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, and I'll see you in 7.4.